and I will leave it to Joe. So, welcome Joe and give me like a good applause for Joe. Please.
Hey, hello everybody, hello. Thank you so much for turning out today. So, I'm going to talk to you very quickly and give you my thoughts on the situation. I'd like to also update you on our campaign to de-twin, and then finally I'm going to talk about the upcoming parliamentary elections. So, like the very kind introduction mentioned, it's my daughter's birthday.
Friday should be us filming sessions. Just leave it as it is.
But on the subject of children, there is a which is WC.
Oh yeah, you need to shoot you on that one, yeah.
I don't know what it's meant for, but it means wounded child, no surviving family.
Yes,
and that is such a horrible concept to demand its own approval. Wounded child, no surviving family. What happened on October the 7th was unjustified. I want the hostages to be returned. But if you can take any atrocity and use that to justify further atrocities or an ongoing campaign of ethnic cleansing, you are no friend of peace and no friend of mine. I've spent 8 years now working for the NHS. I've worked for South West Ambulance Service during the height of the pandemic in urgent care. I was our hub manager at St Leonard's Hospital. And there were times when I felt utterly overwhelmed by the challenge in terms of the patients we had who'd been triaged and their mind. And I can't help but think what it must be like to be a clinician garter at the moment in one of the hospitals that is yet to be bombed by the IDF. Just imagine, even if I was in that situation, if I was mentally strong enough to maybe shut out all of the despair and all of the hunger, the starvation going on inside the hospital, if I could shut out for my shift, my worries about my own family, my children and my parents, if I could do all of that and just get my head down and focus on my work, but then I saw on my round of patients again, I've no problem with the people of Britannula. You know, I'm sure there are some reasonable people there. But I cannot stand in my conscience for our town to be twinned with anywhere that's involved in an ongoing campaign of ethnic cleansing. It's a nation state run on a system of apartheid. I cannot conscience it. I'm hoping my colleagues in the council will vote with their own consciences rather than their party loyalties. But I have very little faith in politicians. I would urge you, when you go home today, go online, go to They Work For You or wherever, find who they are, contact them, email them, let them know you will not stop thinking about Gaza, you will not stop talking about Gaza. But we are watching, we have seen what has happened in Rafah, and we can see what the future holds if we do not stand up and say no. So, before that happens, that's on the 17th of July, 4th of July, we've got our general election. Thank God, it's long overdue. In the build-up to this general election, our politicians and our media do not want you to talk about Gaza. The Conservative Party don't want to answer any questions about arms for Israel and ongoing military support for their operation. And that's fine by Labour, they don't want to ask those questions either. What they want to do is tell you the same thing you will hear again and again and again in the next few weeks. It's something I'm sick of hearing already. It's that only Labour can beat progress. That you have a binary choice between politicians who support the daily war crimes we see, or politicians who support daily war crimes we see, but pretend to be a bit sad about it. Now, that is no real choice. Now, I'm sick of that message. I heard that message every single day last year, right up until the very day my wife and myself were elected successfully in Morden, beating the Tories, beating Labour, beating the Lib Dems, beating anybody else, beating Reform. All it takes is a match. It's so simple. We put through barely any materials in a lot of the CT1. We tripled our seats in the group. We had 3 times as many Green councillors now as we did a couple of years ago. We tripled our seats. We will win elections. All we did was put through a couple of leaflets, and as soon as people realise they can vote for something that isn't this corrupt political system, we win. We win again and again and again and again. If we refuse to stop thinking about Gaza, to stop talking about Gaza, and to stop voting for people who do not care about Gaza, then we can win this. This is a fight that we must win for the people of Palestine. There are many more eloquent speakers who are going to come on after me, but I would urge you, do not let our political class forget that we are watching.
To those who have supported and been complicit in the greatest crime of this century. It will not be kind to those who have been silent as they have watched this horror, this genocide unfold in real time, on the screens, on the social media, even poor as mainstream media has been and continues to be on their TVs and on their newspapers. It will judge you too, my friends. History will judge you too. History will hail you as among those who loudly and proudly proclaim, not in my name. Thank you for each and every one of you. History will hail you as those who exhibited moral clarity and moral backbone and were not cowed by the voices of division and hatred. And history will do more, my friends. History will do more. History will hail you as part of a global movement that will help secure the Palestinian people's rights to freedom from oppression, freedom from occupation and colonization and apartheid, freedom from besiegement, freedom from racism and bigotry and self-determination. History will judge you that you are supporting our right to self-determination, our right to independence, our right to a state of our own, after being denied our inalienable rights for more than 100 years. History will praise you, my friends, will praise you as the voices of freedom and justice. And those who salvage the global rules-based order that is being pushed to its limits by Israel's criminal disregard for international law, criminal disregard for the sanctity of human life, its criminal disregard for our common shared universal values, a disregard in which it has been shamefully supported by a handful of countries around the world. Yours, my friends, yours are the voices that will ensure our own government's commitment, your government's commitment to the rules and the values of the international system. Yours are the voices that will demand from your government that it imposes an arms embargo on Israel now. Arms embargo on Israel now. And sanctions on Israel to compel compliance. Yours are the voices that will prevail on your government to formally recognize the state of Palestine. The state of Palestine will be free. Palestine will be free. We will have our independence. Jerusalem will be our capital. Our refugees will return to their homes. Whether the British government recognizes the state of Palestine or not, the state of Palestine will be free. We will have our state. It is more about the British government than it is about us. And it is the historic obligation, the moral obligation, the legal obligation since the infamous Balfour Declaration that promised our land without consulting us and turned us into minorities when we were 98% of the population. This is a moment for the UK government to correct that historic injustice and recognize the state of Palestine. And my friends, we will never waver, I assure you. We will never waver. You and your voices with us will help us, the Palestinian people, to stay resilient. You give us hope because every time we see you in Bournemouth, in London, in Glasgow, in Edinburgh, in Cardiff, and all over the place, it's one message. We are not alone in this. We are together. And to never waver in our determination to secure our rights equal to others. And not only for ourselves. Our fight, our struggle, 100 years old struggle, is not just for ourselves. It's for you and for everyone. Because justice in Palestine is about justice everywhere, my friends. Justice in Palestine is about justice everywhere. And I want to assure you that if we accept this right, if we accept to be second-class citizens on our own land, we would have given up your right, not only our right. And I promise you, we will never, ever accept anything less than equal rights to all nations. And I thank you. I thank you for all that you have done. And I thank the great city of Bournemouth for all that you have done and all that you still do it. And I hope we will work together. We will march together until I see all of you very soon in a free
Palestine!
Palestine! Free
Palestine!
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hassan. Thanks for the continuous support. Thanks for the amazing words. And we are here standing in solidarity with Palestine. Everybody's here on the green grass, standing here and promising that one day Palestine will be free. We will all return to Palestine one day. And we are returning. إننا عائدون. إننا عائدون. إننا عائدون.
Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! 1, 2, 3, 4! 1, 2, 3, 4! 5, 6, 7, 8! 5, 6, 7, 8! Israel enough! Israel enough! Israel enough! US enough! US enough! US enough! US enough! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! From the river to the sea! 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 From the sea to the river! From the sea to the river! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! What do you want? Louder! What do you want? 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 It says sanctions. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! No justice! 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 Thank you.
Thank you again. Thank you. Given the unfortunate conflation between Judaism and Zionism, and the unjust labeling of anti-racist activities as anti-Semitic, I would like to introduce Mr. Rob Ferguson. Mr. Ferguson is a Jewish anti-racist activist who campaigned against the racism, against the oppression of the Palestinians, Islamophobia, amongst other things. So, without much talk, I would like Rob to come over.
It's an outrage that Bournemouth twins with Netanyahu, built on the land of the village of Khalid and the land of Bedouin driven from their homes in 1948. Netanyahu was a military centre of Zionist terror, during the Nakba. There should be no twinning with genocide. Nowhere. The atrocity at the tent camp in Rafah has drawn aside the veil of any pretense of the so-called international rules-based order. When Russia invades and occupies Ukraine, then so-called rules apply. When Fortress Israel commits genocide, it is, in the words of genocide Joe Biden, outrageous to suggest prosecution by the ICC. Biden's response to the massacre in Rafah, to the 800,000 who have again fled, to the tens of thousands targeted and killed, to the mass graves, to famine and war crimes, is that no red lines have been crossed. It was a GBU-39 bomb supplied by the United States that dismembered and burned Palestinians to death, decapitating infant victims. Last month, the US approved a transfer of more than 1,000 of the same bombs on the same day that Israel bombed the World Central Kitchen aid convoy in Gaza. And days afterwards, David Cameron and Kemi Badenoch declared that the rules on UK arms exports to Gaza to Israel would continue. And now they claim the onslaught on Rafah is still not a full operation. Still not a full operation. As millions watch a genocide unfold in real time, they must be asking what in this hell, in this post-apocalyptic landscape of rubble and corpses, would a full operation look like? And Rishi Sunak declares the UK government position unchanged. That is why today is a national day of action under the banner of Stop Arming Israel. We need to build a mass political movement and a mass movement of direct action that forces the end of arms sales to Israel. And then we have Keir Starmer's Labour Party. Let this just sink in for a moment. In November, David Lammy, Shadow Foreign Minister, declared that attacks on refugee camps can be legally justified. He too, in my view, has the blood of those victims in Rafah on his hands. I believe there are two camps. There is the camp of military power, of state power and repression, of racism, of vast arms industries. But ours is the camp of revolt, the camp of freedom, justice, common cause against oppression, war and genocide. It is the camp of Palestine. We see it. We see it in the mass protests of millions around the world, in the student encampments. By the way, did you know 45% of students in American universities support the encampment? Only 23% oppose. That is in the heart of the beast. I think that shows us that we're only beginning to tap the mass potential of our movement. And standing here as a proud anti-Zionist Jew, it is a great sight to see the radical Jewish tradition re-emerging in new form at the heart of those encampments. Their answer is repression and violence. They can't win the argument, but they continue for a reason. We need to know our enemy. They support Israel because it is a unique fortress of imperialist interest in the Middle East, an indispensable bulwark against Arab revolt in the most contested region in the world. They pour billions of dollars into the coffers of the Sisi regime in Egypt, while Sisi bans protests for Palestine and jails the protesters. Just one minute. Fantastic finish. But I believe, and in the same breath, and by the way, just one thing, when Michael Gove says Jews only join marches on condition that they knuckle under, obeying the rules laid down by the march organisers, accept the calls to globalise the Intifada or end Zionism, I have a message for Michael Gove. I don't knuckle under. We are bearing our knuckles for a fight like no other. Gove and the rest don't defend Jews as Jews, never have and never will. They only defend Jews on condition they are loyal to the British state and its imperialist interests. And in the same breath, they echo far-right ideology of the great replacement of racism, Islamophobia. Today, in London, Tommy Robinson has called a Nazi demonstration hoping to rise on the back of anti-Palestinian racism and Islamophobia. They are a threat to the Palestine solidarity movement, and it's a tribute to Stand Up to Racism, the Muslim Association of Britain, leading trade unions, that they're confronting them in Whitehall as we speak, and solidarity to them. I'll finish with this. Palestine is a turning point in politics. There is no going back. In our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. That is not just a phrase. Palestine speaks to the cause of all those resisting oppression and violence and racism. And I say this, in those struggles against of all the oppressed lies the road to Palestinian freedom. That is not to diminish the resistance of the Palestinians themselves. It is to raise it up. It is to say that Palestine is the test. It is the test of resistance to oppression, injustice, inhumanity, genocide, and war. And I say this, I want to see the globalization of revolt and the globalization of to end genocide, to end national oppression, to end racism, to end war. From the river to the sea. 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 From the river to the sea.
Wow, thank you very much, Rob. That's amazing. You know, like, this is the kind of energy that brings us together. Thank you a million, Rob. And now I would like to introduce you to an honorable speaker, Reverend Jonathan Herbert. He wears different hats. He serves as a chaplain for the Gypsies and Travelers in Dorset. He's a climate activist, and he's a big supporter for the cause, for Palestinian cause. And Reverend today to share his experience with us after returning from Palestine in March. He has first-hand experience about what he saw while he was there, and the Reverend is kind enough to come and share his experience with us. So, welcome, Reverend Herbert.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Bournemouth. Good afternoon, Palestine. You're probably not going to get a thumping speech from me today, partly because my voice is going, but I want to speak a little bit about I was privileged to be able to write so many columns, to get in under the radar and visit Palestinian friends in the West Bank. I went there just before Easter. I spent some of the holy month of Ramadan there with Palestinian, Muslim and Christian friends in Bethlehem, Hebron and East Jerusalem. I went with my 82-year-old climate activist friend, the Reverend Sue Parford, who recently attacked the Magna Carta. You may have seen her on TV. The struggle for climate justice, in a sense, is no different. The struggle for freedom for Palestine, intimately connected. The forces that crush the natural world are the same forces at work of international, unregulated international capitalism that are crushing the Palestinian people and are funding Israel's colonial war. We went, I said, firstly to apologise for our government's support of Israel's war crimes, and secondly, to show solidarity with the Palestinian people. Bethlehem, as a town, of course, was deserted. Not deserted, it was thronging with Palestinian people. We were the only internationals there. Bethlehem normally has 1 million visitors a year. But the town was locked down from October to January. Effectively, there were only 3 doors in and out of Bethlehem. Of course, the Israeli army can shut them whenever they want. And we know that movement around the West Bank is now so difficult for everybody. To go what would have been a very short journey, we tried to visit, and we did visit friends in a village just outside Bethlehem. Took us over an hour. Would have been a 5-minute journey. But the settlers have blocked the road to the village, of course. Bethlehem, town, grown prosperous on tourism and the Christian religion. Now, on the entrepreneurial gifts of its people, now it's having to run soup kitchens for its people. People echoing what's going on in Gaza, although there's not enough food even for soup kitchens there these days. Something that I heard again and again, particularly from young Palestinian people on the West Bank, is, you know what, we can see the sea, but we've never been there. We can see it, but we can't get there. We're locked down. Our lives are limited because of the apartheid system that separates people from one another. Of course, one of the few privileges, good things about living in Gaza was you had beautiful sandy beaches. I'm told the sand is just as good as the sand on Bournemouth Beach. And probably on, what's that place called? The shadily twins. Netanya, yeah. In February this year, led by donkeys, I'm sure you'll remember, graphically illustrated the killing that then had happened in Gaza. The asymmetrical nature of this 80-year-old colonial conflict. On 5 kilometres of sandy beach here, items of children's clothing were laid out. 36 Israeli children who died. One child's death is too much. And then what was shocking when you see it laid out, when you saw it laid out in the home, was 11,500 items of children's clothing to recognise, remember the children who died and are continuing to die in Gaza. Netanya, north of Tel Aviv, has a similar sumptuous beach, like the beaches of Gaza, like those of Bournemouth. In the light of those images of children's clothes laid out on Bournemouth Beach, illustrating the war crimes inflicted on Gaza, on the light remembering those children who've died, I call upon Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole Council to suspend its twinning agreement and to suspend it. Stop supporting war crimes. It's not anti-Semitic to say killing people is wrong. And I want to give you hope, because it is a struggle. Whenever we resist evil on this scale, it's a struggle. And evil pushes back at us. On our visit to Palestine, again and again, we encountered what Palestinians called sumud. You know that word? Sumud, which means steadfastness, never giving up, standing firm in spite of everything. We saw it strong and alive and well in the West Bank. We were privileged to take part in an iftar in the South Hebron Hills at the village of Sumal Care, where the villagers are being robbed of their land by Israeli settlers. Palestinian Bedouin who bought land there after being evicted from their land and grazing in the Negev in 1948 in the first Nakba, now are once again under pressure to leave. Most Palestinians look after their flocks with a pocket full of stones. One well-aimed stone guides the sheep in the direction you want to guide them. Now, the land is full of Israeli shepherds, with flocks that have been given, money's given to them by the Israeli government, and they're running their flocks of sheep on Palestinian land. And I'll tell you what, a settler shepherd doesn't have a bunch of stones in his pocket. He has an automatic rifle over his shoulder. That village has been economically crushed, as well as losing its land to the settlers. That village faces economic collapse, apart from daily intimidation by settlers. But what gave me hope was the number of internationals and Israelis who gathered for a similar, simple iftar set on the ground. And there was a bunch of rather rattled settlers watching us They don't like it when internationals, and they hate it when Israeli Jews and Jews from overseas come and stand up to them. We were there to show solidarity with those farmers there and with Palestinians throughout the West Bank. And make no mistake, my friends, my brothers and sisters, solidarity does work. It works. I can tell you because I met many Palestinians in the West Bank and East Jerusalem who said, yeah, we don't like what your government is doing, but your government's not the people. We see the people out on the streets in their thousands, in hundreds of thousands. You give us hope when you march for Palestine. And let's not forget, Israel's not immune to international pressure. It hates it when people, it would hate it if Bournemouth stopped winning with Netanyahu. It would hate it. It would have hated it if it had been barred from the Eurovision Song Contest, which it, of course, should have been. And last of all, history tells us that all empires fall, all colonial enterprises crumble. The occupation will fall, will end. My friends, continue to resist, continue, Sumut. Ceasefire, peace, justice, now.
Thank you so much, Reverend. And now we've been out for a little bit of chanting. We will have our two last speakers after that, and then we get ready to march.
Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! Get that energy back up. Get that back energy back up when you can't when you stubborn. Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. Israel is up! Israel is up! Israel is up! The UK is up! The UK is up! The US is up! The US is up! The EU is up! The EU is up! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! I love this one because they hate it. From the river to the sea! 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 Free, free! Free, free!
With this energy, I want you to welcome our next speaker because they are amazing. His is representing the students from the Portsmouth University encampment. It's a time of history where students became our teachers, where the students became our leaders. We've been to their encampment and they all made effort and came to see us today. So give it high, give a lot of energy to the encampment of Portsmouth University.
Good afternoon, Portsmouth! I'd like to start off by saying how we have felt so welcome here. That we are so thankful for all the support this city has shown us. So thank you. We have been camping for 13 days now. We've watched as on day one, we started with 5 tents. That has increased 5 times. We've watched as we laid foundations, but our community has built this encampment. We've watched as people we did not know 12 hours before are driving over to us to give us supplies that we need. So again, I say thank you. We have been protesting for 8 months, Palestinians for 76 years. This camp, this movement is but a stage in our struggle. We will not allow this to continue for another 76 years, as we have seen before. We want the students up and down this country and around the world do their duty and stand against this genocide and for the liberation of Palestinian people and Palestinian land. Gaza is the beating heart of our movement, and we draw from their unwavering strength, unwavering bravery in the face of unmanageable, unmanageable, you know what I mean, death and destruction. To stand with them in any capacity that we can to help them to end their suffering. We are but just one part of a global movement for Palestine, a part that rips research out of the hands of genocidal companies, that brings our universities back to a place of radical politics and open for change. Our university, the University of Portsmouth, universities up and down this country, have linked and do research for the companies that engage in genocide. We demand that they stop. We demand that they be honest with us, the students, disclose everything that they have. Cut ties with complicity, cut ties with genocide, end their complicity. Invest in Palestinians, actually listen to them and not treat them as an afterthought. And protect our unalienable academic and civil rights to protest against the genocide. We watched as our community came out in force. Through our combined years of organizing with our community, we have built something that allows us to escalate, that allows us to do the things that we're doing. They feed us, they house us, they watch our backs as we sleep. They are an integral part to the camp as it breaks the bounds of our university. A community that represents hope for change. A hope that does not exist, but is built. Built by struggle, built by community. Not as some ephemeral idea, but a hope that exists inside of us and the struggle that we wage together. Even as we escalate
40,000 people have been stolen from us, from their loved ones, stolen from the world. Despite all of this loss and destruction, the Palestinian people still stand steadfast. We must use their resilience to keep going, to keep escalating until Palestine is free. As I said before, this encampment is but a stage.